When Mary asked America why she didn't leave, apparently America said, "If I leave, he will kill me."
Few things are as powerful.
Hi guys, my name is April Hardy. Thank you for joining me. If you're new here, welcome. On this channel we talk about things related to domestic violence, in particular and specifically intimate partner homicide. If you're not new, welcome back. Thank you so much for supporting me and this channel as I get the word out about this horrible crime that happens way more often than people realize and is an ultimate end to domestic violence that I don't want for anybody. Today we're going to go back to talking about people's stories. I'm going to bring to you the story of America Thayer. Hopefully I said that right, Mafalda. I think so. You may or may not have heard about her brutal killing. It only happened on the 28th of July, so just this last Wednesday. But it has been talked about quite a bit because of the ridiculously gruesome nature of this murder. In this video, we're going to do a tribute first, and then we will talk about the murder itself, and then we'll talk about the history, particularly his history, but also their history relationship-wise. And then throughout the video, I will point out little red flags in the editing process, because my videos are twofold purpose-wise. For one thing, I want to honor these women in a way that they should have been honored in their life and their death that never should have happened the way that they've happened. And two, I want to teach you what red flags to be looking for in your own life, in other people's lives that you may know, so that you can get out of a relationship if you're in one and you're seeing these red flags with the help of a safety plan and with the help of a support network. Or you can help somebody else to get out of them so that I'm not doing a tribute to you later and covering your story or somebody that you love. If I can help save people's lives, that's what I want to do. Honor those that I couldn't save and help save yours. So, many in the Shakopee community are expressing feelings of shock and sadness as they mourn the loss of 55-year-old America Thayer. She's been described as a beautiful person, bubbly, sweet, caring, hardworking, with a good sense of humor, but most of all, kind. Her friend, Miss Dickerson, says she just loved everyone she came across.
It's just really hard and very traumatizing.
I know it is. I'm so sorry for your loss and for everybody who loved America's loss. What little I've gotten to look at her life, she seems like a great person, and I know she'll be sorely missed. Some say that America's Puerto Rican parents were so happy about moving to America that they named her America. But other people say, and I think it probably sounds a little more accurate, that she legally had her name changed to America after she became an American citizen, coming over here from Cuba, I believe. And that sounds like an amazing way to celebrate to me. I feel so bad because this is not the life or the death that I'm sure that she dreamt of when she came to America. A can of Pepsi and a coffee. Walker Martinez and Tori Finley recalled two things that America would buy from their Speedway convenience store where they formerly worked. It was always Pepsi in a can, Martinez said. America worked across the street from the gas station at My Pillow. They said that she came over for a caffeine fix almost every time she worked. Walker and Tori helped to organize the vigil for America. It was held at the intersection of 4th Avenue and Spencer Street, where the brutal killing happened.
God, but never forgotten.
Holding a sign and balloons, Faith Howie and her family came to the intersection of 4th Avenue and Spencer Street to honor the life of their neighbor, America Thayer.
I'm not going to see that beautiful smile again that I seen every day.
They weren't alone. Former co-workers and friends stopped by the memorial, leaving flowers to remember a woman they call an angel on earth.
She was a really kind person who deserved better than this, Tori told reporters. She was always really sweet, Walker told reporters. She was so kind-hearted and down to earth. She was a loving person. America worked at My Pillow and at Dollar Tree. She was described by her former coworkers as extremely hardworking, caring, and the kind of person that would never hurt a fly. Jamie Worley, a My Pillow employee and America's friend, talked about her working 70 hours a week. I'm going to quote him. "I went there today and went to the store and got her a rose and a teddy bear to put on her desk. When I got there, I didn't even look at any other of my coworkers. I just stood at her desk with my head down. Everyone was crying. It was a very emotional day, and it still is." He remembered her as a sweet and lovable person who befriended everyone. "I was talking to my boss, and it's even hitting the warehouse because America used to work in the warehouse too, and she was just the most loving person. No one ever had a problem with her," said Worley. "She and I used to like smoking cigarettes, and she would say, 'Let's go, Jamie. Let's go smoke.' And we would go outside all the time. We had as much overtime as My Pillow would allow. And the moment that stopped, which was a couple of weeks ago, she went and got another job the next day because she wanted to keep her income coming in." Nikki Kendrick, a friend of hers of 5 years, said America would visit her at work every day, sometimes several times a day, when she worked at the Holiday Station stores. I'm assuming that's a gas station. I apologize if that's not. She was soft-spoken, so funny, and she always had amazing stories. "She always went out of her way to say hi to me whenever she saw me," Nikki told reporters. "She was just truly the kindest to everyone. I haven't met anyone so genuinely kind as America since my late grandma. I am devastated. It's unreal, and I have no words." At the vigil, people were invited to write tributes to America on a poster board. Someone wrote, "You will not be forgotten," while another message said, "I will miss you so much. We had so many good laughs." Candles and bouquets of flowers lined the curb. Sadly, but not necessarily surprisingly, multiple people told reporters that America was Sabarit's biggest advocate, and based on what I've seen, I would guess that that's the truth. America was 55. Sabarit was 42, so in this case, you have a big age gap, but the other direction than what it often is. America and Sabarit went to the park early on Wednesday, July 28th, probably seeming a lot like any other day. At the time of the murder, later on in that afternoon, they were traveling together to Sabarit's court appearance. Records say that according to him, America told him that she wanted to end their relationship while they were driving. What I read said that she told him she wanted to get rid of him and end their relationship. Nothing in me believes that she said it like that. The way that this woman was described, as well as the dynamics of fear and domestic violence, tell me that she did not go, "I want to get rid of you." Of course, like abusers do, he did not stop there. He allegedly told police that he killed America because she had, quote, "gone too far" with her alleged abuse of him, and in her comments about ending their relationship. So she was abusing him, according to him, and also she was breaking up with him, and that was too much, so he killed her. Then he goes in and tells the judge later through a Spanish interpreter that he's innocent, that it was self-defense, and that he claimed that he was a victim of attempted extortion and attempted murder. So, clearly he doesn't know the laws in America, because in order for self-defense, you have to only use as much force as is necessary to defend yourself from a situation. So if you see this guy, I will put him on the screen. He looks a little bit intimidating. And then if you look at this girl, a little bit less than intimidating. So they're both in a car. He's driving this car, and he is so afraid for his life from her abuse that he doesn't get out of the car, doesn't end the relationship that she's trying to end. He cuts off her head. Yes, that seems totally believable. So on Wednesday, July 28th, police were called to a busy four-way stop intersection at 2:31 p.m. They found America's body and decapitated head on the pavement when they got there. Originally, it was reported that she had been stabbed to death by media, but America was really beheaded, and I don't know if it was reported as a stabbing because the media had an issue with saying that it was a beheading, or if, because later on you'll find that in the police report they say that the knife was covered with a blood-like substance. And they say blood-like substance because they are not legally allowed to call it blood, because it could chemically be something else. So until it gets tested, they just have to say what it's like. They can't just call a duck. They have to say a duck-like figurine. So I don't know if it was something like that caused these journalists to describe what happened to her as a stabbing, a fatal stabbing, but it was a fatal stabbing that resulted in her decapitation. This early into the case, because this only happened a couple of days ago, it's not really surprising to me anymore that the media has a little bit of conflicting information. But I'm going to take it that he probably decapitated her in the car. Like Maria Kelly's murder, there were witnesses, some of whom, or at least one of whom, did shoot video of this. At least, I don't think that they got the murder in itself, but the throwing her body out of the car afterwards is kind of what has been described to me as far as this video goes. I have not watched this video. I have no desire to watch it, and I'm not going to show it to you here, but it was circulating on the internet, and we'll address that later too. A black machete with a partially serrated edge, a bloody t-shirt, and bloody shoes, were reportedly found nearby. The Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension is processing the scene, or did process the scene. MSN News reported that police noted a black handle sticking up from the ground concealed in a bush. The knife was almost entirely concealed in dirt and difficult to see. The blade was covered with what police described in their report as a blood-like substance, and there appeared to be strands of hair on the blade. The knife also appeared to fit the sheath that was found at the crime scene, according to the court documents. That was one of a couple of different ways that they have matched him so far, in addition to finding this bloody shirt and bloody shoes, which they were later able to match with the video. According to the complaint and the search warrant affidavit, police were told that a body with no head had been pulled out of a car when they were called. And they were also told that a suspicious man was seen walking through an alley that was nearby. According to court documents, several people saw the attack, people that were behind them in, cars behind this car, as well as at least one person who ended up doing the video from their home. Sorby was arrested about 1.5 miles away from where the murder took place, but only about 3 blocks away from the hotel or apartment, depending on what you read, that he and America shared. So he was going home. And I'm going to show you now the portion of the criminal complaint where Sorby originally admitted that he had killed America because she tried to break up with him. So let's talk about this video issue for a minute. Okay, maybe not a minute. Briefly, because this is the second in a row of murders that have happened to women by their significant others that have been caught on video. At least the second in a row that I have covered. And police were critical of this lady that shot this video because it got circulated on social media, because it got circulated online, showing the moment when America's body was dumped into the street in the most unglorifying, unhonoring kind of way that he did that on purpose. He was doing it to be dishonoring, but to spread that for everybody else to see affects the way that people remember America, right? As well as the chief of police, Jeff Tate, told Bring Me the News that this woman has a son, has a family, and people that care about her. And the last place that anyone should learn about a tragedy involving a loved one is through social media. And I couldn't agree more. While it has since been reported that the lady that took the video is not the person who actually circulated that, the point still remains. If I wanted to get more clickbait views on this channel, I could totally put these types of videos into my videos because they would definitely make an impact. But I believe that to be dishonoring to these women and to their loved ones. Once a thing is on the internet, it doesn't go away. And I know that. A lot of these women have children, and they all have people who care about them, and none of those people need that memory. And while I can't stop everybody from doing it, I can certainly not be a part of that, take a part of that on myself, and I can condemn the use of videos like that to get views. I'm grateful that these horrible crimes were caught on video because it should help to get those murderers the justice that they deserve. But videos, when they are able to be taken in a situation like that, those are evidence, and they need to be turned into the police. They do not need to make their way to the internet so that people can watch them. They're evidence. They are not entertainment. Moving on to history. And with most of these guys, there is a history, and this guy is no exception. Court records show that he was convicted of gross misdemeanor domestic assault against America in 2017. Now, gross demeanor assault apparently is considered more serious than regular misdemeanor crimes. So, the arrest in that situation in 2017 came after America called the police for help. When they got there, they found him standing over her and holding her to the ground, like not letting her get up. America told officers that that fight began when they were drinking at a bar, and he believed that she was talking to some other guy. When they got home, and also it says when officers were there, Sorbet pushed her to the ground, quote, causing her to fall and scrape her elbow, according to the documents. He then held her on the ground and, quote, attempted to put his hand over her mouth to prevent her from talking to officers, end quote. One report says that at that time, America said that they had been dating or been together for 7 years. The police statement submitted to the court just said several years. It doesn't give a specific number. And the reason that that is important one way or another is that he was convicted of 2 separate incidences of domestic abuse battery in Jefferson Parish, Louisiana in December of 2011. So if they had been together for 7 years in 2017, America would have been with him at that time. Several years, maybe, maybe not. So I'm curious, and it did not say, if she was the victim of these 2 other domestic battery charges in 2011, or if they were against somebody else, and did she know about them? I mean, we may not ever know, but that's an interesting thing to note. Now, also, something that of course media is throwing up there because there are certain beliefs about domestic violence and intimate partner homicide that are prevalent, and this is one of them. So a pre-trial domestic abuse no contact order was imposed in 2017, but America wrote a letter to the court begging for it to be removed. I'm going to put that letter on the screen. You can pause it and read it. It's not a long letter. For whatever reason, the judge in this case decided to grant it. But one of the prejudices or the misunderstandings that so many people in the public and also in the media have is they do not understand that when you're in a situation of fear and power and control, the way that these relationships are, it is extremely common for people to recant abuse and say that it didn't happen, or to ask to not have protection orders. And it's not because abuse didn't happen. And it's not necessarily because they want to talk to these people. Sometimes it's because they are afraid that if they don't show this person that they're making efforts towards them, then when they get out, they're in big trouble. And the police will not protect them. And they know that. Other times, they do want to talk to them because there is this bond. There is love of sorts. Different people argue whether or not this is actually love or if it's more of a Stockholm Syndrome type of a thing. And you are welcome to tell me what your thoughts are on it. But I know I have had very strong feelings wherever they came from, for people who were abusive to me. And it was not strong feelings for them because they were abusive, it was because of the times when they weren't. At any rate, you have stuff like this going on. I believe that it's I kind of hesitate to say the legal responsibility. Definitely would be a good plan for the law to be able to take over in a situation like this and not grant the ability for him to talk to and see and get his hands on his victim, even if she emotionally is not in a place where she can put that barrier down herself. Because most of them are not. Most of us are not in a mental state and an emotional state where boundaries are gonna stay at this point. When we're in a state where we can hold boundaries, we leave. It's like early in the relationship. When you've been with somebody for years and they've torn you down for years, you do not have the capacity in that moment. It's like sexual abuse. You don't have the capacity to consent for a sexual act if you're drunk, or you are under the influence of drugs, or you have some kind of a mental handicap that does not allow you to be legally allowed to give consent. You can say yes, but legally you are not considered capable of giving consent. And I feel like the same thing should happen, something similar to that, for domestic violence. They should not be able to give consent to let this person come back if there's a case going on. It shouldn't be allowed to give consent to drop a protection order. And these cases should be able to go on without the participation of the victim, if at all possible. Because the victim is not in a state right now where they would be in a year or two when they are out of this person's control. But right now, that makes that really difficult. Anyway, super soapboxy today. I apologize. So, 2017, definitely domestic assault against America. 2011, 2 different domestic battery charges. I'm not sure who the victims were. 2017, he's convicted of driving under the influence of alcohol after he wrecks into another vehicle while he's drunk. And officers who responded to that situation found a large kitchen knife and a bottle of Bacardi in his car. That's 2017. In 2018, he was arrested after getting into an altercation in a bar, aka probably a fight, aka violence. At that point, he was carrying a 3-inch folding knife and a 10-inch kitchen knife. When police tried to place him on hold so that he could detox, he managed to get out of the cuffs and he tried to run. So you have domestic violence, like battery and assault. You have DUI, you have more violence, you have carries a large knife again, resisting arrest and attempting to flee arrest. So far, at the time of the murder, he was out on bail for arson and property damage for allegedly trying to burn down his and America's apartment or hotel, depending on who you listen to. So I don't know if it was like a short stay hotel that some of them were calling an apartment. That kind of makes sense to me, but I don't know that. But he tried to burn down their home during a confrontation with police in November. So he has resistance to authority, particularly the police, has no issue with destroying his home and her home, no respect for her and her stuff in the destruction of their home. And at one point during that standoff, he reportedly displayed a machete. So that was in November of 2020, I'm pretty sure. He was released by Judge Richard C. Perkins despite the court's observation and the defense's claim that he was mentally ill. Judge Perkins set the bail lower than the prosecution had asked for, and America bailed him out of jail after he had allegedly poured gasoline and tried to burn down the apartment that they shared. While he was murdering America in cold blood, he was missing a court hearing in Scott County about that arson charge that she had bailed him out of jail for. Court records show that he was due to appear for court in August for allegedly violating his probation, which is a whole different thing. I'm pretty sure. I did not read anywhere that was tied to the arson, so I don't know what he was on probation for. Fox 9 reporter Mary McGuire had spoken to a former coworker of America who said that domestic abuse had been a consistent problem in their relationship. When Mary asked America why she didn't leave, apparently America said, "If I leave, he will kill me." And that is true for a lot of women also. A lot of times they know what the guy will do if they leave because the guy has told them. Not always, but a lot of times. And something in their gut tells them that he means it. Something inside of them tells them that he is capable of it. But it's not like an angry, "I am going to kill you because you put my sock in with the reds and now it's pink." It's not that kind of a thing. There's something in the depths of you that knows that this person is capable and willing to do what they say. And that's what keeps people sometimes. And according to reports, that's what kept America in this relationship. So Faith Howey, a neighbor and a friend of America's, recalled that she had come to her apartment looking for help about a month ago. She said that she came around 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning and knocked on her door and asked her if she could sleep at Faith's house that night.
She goes, "Can I come and sleep here tonight?" She goes, "I'm afraid he's going to get up and start in again."
Now, I'd already talked about America's coworker Jamie Worley, but Jamie told reporters that America liked to work. And I'm going to quote him. "When I say she liked to work, she was putting in 70 hours a week," Jamie said. "She would basically go there all day, go home for a little bit, and come back." He said that America got a second job immediately after their overtime hours got cut. And I wonder if maybe she didn't just really want to be out of the house. I wonder if maybe work wasn't her sanctuary, her escape. Sorbet has been charged with second-degree murder. At a bail hearing, he claimed that he was innocent. He asked the judge if he could be deported to his own country instead of having to stand trial here in America, to which the judge replied no, and then set his bail at $2.5 million. I'm not sure which judge this is, but I appreciate this judge. Also, in the court hearing, Sorbet's attorney in his pending arson case asked the judge to remove him because America was the one who had hired him in the first place, and he grew close to her while working on Sorbet's case. The attorney felt like there was a conflict of interest to keep defending him, and I say bravo to that. I appreciate his integrity. I appreciate the fact that he does not want to defend somebody who took her life. I think that's pretty cool. And then when I was working on this, then it was updated. So the Hennepin County Medical Examiner has determined that America's cause of death was decapitation. She wasn't stabbed in the heart and then had her head cut off. She was decapitated, and that was unfortunately what took her life. They reported that she had suffered multiple sharp and blunt force injuries and was decapitated at 2:31 p.m. Wednesday, according to the Sunday press release from the medical examiner. The medical examiner officially deemed her death a homicide. Sorbet has been charged with second-degree murder with intent, but without premeditation. On Friday, he was charged that. Officers discovered a machete-style sheath, as well as a stained shirt and shoes, and a knife in a recycling bin in a nearby alley. The items were coated with a blood-like substance, which we already talked about, according to the complaint. Police were able to match, like I said before, those clothes with the person in the video who had likely committed the crime, undoubtedly committed the crime. His bail, as I also said, is still set at $2.5 million, and his next court appearance is scheduled for August 9th. I do this every week, but if you feel like you are in danger, if you're concerned for your life, please contact the National Domestic Violence Hotline. I will put the number on the screen. Do a safety plan. Figure out your next moves. Figure out your moves in case this happens or in case that happens. That's the whole point of a safety plan, is to have an idea of how you're going to respond in different situations so that you're mentally prepared. And did you know that when you mentally prepare for a situation, like your brain can't tell the difference between you thinking about a situation and you actually physically living this situation out. So you can think about different scenarios that might happen over and over again in your mind while you're trying to safety plan and figure out what you are going to do to respond to this or to that, and your mind will believe that you've already done it. And the benefit to that is that when and if you're in a situation like something that you have thought up before, you're going to be less scared and you're going to be more clear focused and able to handle the situation in a way that is going to be most beneficial for you, because it won't be this terrifying thing that has never happened and has caught you off guard before or caught you by surprise. It's going to be something that you have rehearsed. It's like you've already been here, you've already done this, you've already fought this fight, you've already escaped this thing, this person. It's super beneficial. So create a safety plan. You can email me at staff@aprilhardy.com and I will give you copies of safety plan that you can just fill out, or call the National Domestic Violence Hotline and they will help you fill one out, and they will also advocate for you, and they have contacts for local resources for wherever you are in the country. I do not. But at any rate, if you are concerned that your life might be in danger, that's the number one sign that your life is in danger. So please take heed to it. Contact somebody, reach out for help. Don't try to leave alone. Don't try to leave without a safety plan if you can help it, because the biggest time period when people's lives are in danger is when they are leaving and for 12 months after they have left. Obviously, America just said she wanted to leave, and that was enough. It can be super dangerous. It doesn't get any more visibly dangerous than America's case. Don't do it alone. Safety plan, support network. I love you from the bottom of my heart. Stay safe until I see you again.